Purpose. No one can create your purpose for you. No one can tell you who to be. So in purpose, you have to create your own purpose. And in evolution, you have to evolve towards that purpose. It's easier to live when you have goals to meet. You understand? If you have goals to meet, then you don't feel so voided, and you understand why every day you're looking at this person in the mirror, because that is the cool part about the game. You get to be anybody you want to be.
Okay.
All right. Peace to the family.
Please.
All right, man. We back again with another episode of the Power of Ownership Podcast. Let's go ahead and get it started. We're not gonna waste any time this week, so let's go ahead and get it rocking. Let's go ahead with the introduction. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself first, and Dunbar, you could rock on your end. All right, so my name is Brandon B. Dixon. My NMLS is 1541210 at BNL on all social media. Please like and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you're joining us I should be on my YouTube, my LinkedIn, my Twitch, my X, Facebook, everything. So please, let's cross-pollinate and tell a friend to tell a friend. And don't forget, we'll be reading any questions live on air as well. So please drop us a line, engage with us, and don't be shy. My website, www.applywithb.com, if you want to book me for a consultation, or if you want to sign up for a mortgage, go ahead. That's the link right there. You call me 832-775-8357. You can call me 24/7, as long as it's about business. Next is going to be www.brandonbdixon. Don't forget, I'm a licensed realtor as well. If you want to lease, list, or want to talk about real estate or commercial properties, whatever you got, go ahead and hit me up on that. And then last but not least, we love Frenchies.com. That's coming here in 2026. Oh, one other thing before I get this started, don't forget I gotta plug this before I get the book is gonna be dropping in the next 3 weeks here. So putting the last finishing touches on it. Here, hold on, let me get I gotta get my shameless plug, man. But man, message to the businessman. This is much needed right now. So it's gonna be dropping in the next couple of weeks. And I'm gonna do a whole stream about it. Message to the businessman. Bam. If it looks familiar, it is. As far as I took some of the essence of one of the books that changed my life, and now I want to give back with it, and hopefully I can help some businessmen change their dynamic of their business. So if y'all just joining us, man, please like the video, subscribe. I'm gonna get Dunbar to introduce himself. Right now, we got 23 in the room. Go ahead, spread it out. If you got any questions for us, please, we'll read them live here on the air. Dunbar, I got you keyed up. Go ahead and run it.
All right. Happy Monday. I'm Brandon Dunbar, a local Houston and Texas realtor. If you need to reach out, you can easily Google me, Brandon Dunbar Realtor. That'll give you all my contact information. I have a website also if you want to book a consultation, dunbardidit.com. Go on there and book a consultation about anything real estate. One more.
I think that's all you got, right?
That's it. That's how you reach me.
Got you. All right. So don't forget, man, we'll read the comments live on air. My man George Brown gave us a thumbs up, man. We appreciate it, man. Go ahead, share the screen. Go ahead, share the live, man. So go ahead and get us viral, man. I think we giving some content that I want to hear. So, I want to give some content that we could actually chew on and be good mental food and good aspiration and good motivation for you to improve your business. Without further ado,
George, that's my guy, man. I appreciate you, George.
Right.
Keep it up. Thank you.
Without further ado, let's get to this first clip, man. We're not gonna waste no time this week.
Let's do it.
Let's go ahead and run it. You know, I got about 6 clips. Shoot, let's run them. You know. All right. So can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Big changes in the real estate industry as the second estate portal Redfin has now directly integrated inside of ChatGPT for their search experience, which means that when a home buyer is looking for a home, they don't have to go to Zillow. They don't have to go to homes.com or realtor.com. They go directly to their GPT and everything is organically right in there. And my God, guys, that changes search completely because search is no longer linear where you go to a site and you say 3-bedroom, 2-bath and the town and it shows them all. And then it comes up with a listing description and it's all ego based around the home. Now people are going to go directly into GPT and they're going to say what they want. And that listing description is going to matter completely because now they're going to say things like the walkability to their favorite things and what kind of countertops it has and all of this stuff. And if you're a home seller out there and you're interviewing agents, you need to understand this. You need to ask and make sure that the agent you're hiring understands this because experience alone is not enough anymore. Because now if they don't understand how to write a listing description to make sure that your home shows up no matter what, not just because it was in the bedrooms and baths or whatever it is, you're going to be at disadvantage now. It's not just about what kind of experience they've had in the past. So all of this stuff matters now. It also opens the door. My God, will this bring on a national MLS? Who knows? There's all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I kind of like this because it levels the playing field, so to say, but it also puts an emphasis on people who are pivoting for the sake of the consumer. And I like that. It keeps people ahead. What do you guys think? So more big changes.
Bam. So let's go ahead and start it off with that one. You want to jump in there or how you want to rock it?
I mean, that's fine. Yeah, listen descriptions or tricky. I mean, you limited by characters, and you only can put so much in there. So I definitely agree with him and being able to find what you want from the listing description. I would say with the ChatGPT feature and Redfin, that's they did break the mold with that. I'm sure every other kind of big commercial brokerage is going to follow on with that. I think at the end of the day, the MLS is enough to find what you need. I don't think you need to go to any particular brokerage's website to find your perfect house because all these, if even if you don't have it in the listing description, if you have it plugged into the MLS, then it's going to pop up when you use the MLS. So I think that it's cool, but I think that at the end of the day, if you can use the HAR, that's where we at. You can use the HAR MLS and find your perfect house exactly what you want from that. But it is cool and it's probably going to trend.
Gotcha. I think as far as I think this is where everything's going. As far as integration with AI, I think what they're saying is with the chat feature, is no longer linear as far as all right, I'm looking for this many bedrooms. Just the raw filters. All right, I'm looking for this zip code, this many bedrooms, and it goes from there. So now you can talk to it. Hey, I'm looking for something with a antique style, a post modern whatever, and I want it close to a Starbucks and blah blah blah, and it'll start intelligently giving you a menu, so to speak. So that's what they're doing with the chat feature in there. So it's no longer where it's these hard filters, and I'm kind of stuck to geographic areas or just a 3-bedroom. They'll make suggestions intelligently, based on what you're prompting it to do. So that's the integration that he's talking about.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that, but
right.
It's still going to be limited to only Redfin's listings or Redfin's unless it's hooked up to the MLS through the back end of it. But it's still only going to be Redfin's listings, so to say. And I still think not the proximity to Starbucks, no, but I mean everything else you can pretty much tag into just the hard MLS and find. But
right, but how is it intuitive?
I mean, is it intuitive? I mean, it is if you know how to work it. I mean, no,
But I'm
not
saying,
it's not as powerful as getting you closer to Starbucks, but it's gonna definitely the hard MLS is definitely intuitive enough to find you exactly what you want.
right,
Yeah.
right. But I think the next level, I think the next step is what they're doing with AI. Is what they how do consumers shop? How does the average consumer shop that's not a professional? Don't forget we're in the industry, and you still have is a skill to finding different things. So what if the AI is able to find these properties for them more easily, more intuitively? And I think that's the next step.
No, that's grand. I think at the end of the day, maybe everything had to be a little bit more updated, right? Because if you're going into those type of details, then you still can't put those type of details because this chat GPT is gonna in Houston is gonna feed from heart, right? So it's not gonna be able to. I'm assuming so it's going to still feed from heart because that's where the Redfin listings are. So if you have like the antique and all this good stuff, it's still you're going to have some updates to heart to actually be able to put those in, whether it's in a listing agreement or not. Am I making sense or not? You
Not
think I'm
really,
following?
because I think it's going to feed off the MLS, and I think
Well, it
as
is, it's like the granularity that you're talking about is not in the MLS yet to even be put in. Like
right,
nobody's putting proximity to Starbucks or anything like that in the listen aid, and it's nothing you can type
well,
into.
don't forget it's an
Hard.
aggregate, so it not only takes stuff from the MLS, but it could take stuff from everything else. So it could take geo tracking, it could take this and that, and it is all integrated into one. So it's just not regurgitating what it see on that one website. It's intelligently, don't forget it's artificial intelligence. So it's compounding stuff as if I were to go in there and put proximity to the Starbucks in Google. It could do
Mhm.
that intuitively. That's what artificial intelligence is.
So yeah, you're saying it's going to feed from multiple sources to get you the
Correct.
outcome that you asked for. Okay. Well, if that's the case, well, that's like I said, that's going to be that's going to be kind of groundbreaking. And other brokerages like the Redfins are going to definitely hop on that. I just think I would want to see how it actually works. That's what
Right.
I would want to test it out. Yeah.
Are you on Chat GPT? Are you on any AI? Like how
Yeah, I have Perplexity and I have ChatGPT.
right. So that's how they work. They'll compile from these sources. All right, based on what I found, this is what it comes out to, and then they give suggestions from there. So if that could work in our business, where a customer is saying, "All right, I want a such and such that's close to proximity to a 5-star school or whatever, and the taxes are such and such and such and such, and it has a post a mid modern century look, you know, and it's able to compile all that data and then spit out certain things."
Right. No, I totally get it. But like I said, I think it's going to be some updates on the MLS side too,
Right.
because if it doesn't have if it's not for this certain mid-century house or mid-century looking house, if it's
Mhm.
nowhere on the listing, then it's still not going to be able to pull from that source that it needs to be reputable and
What
like
and
that's what I'm saying. So it's going to need some updates on the hard side as well, and like listen verbiage. Maybe that can be updated too.
right. Well, I think that's what he was saying on the post is like, hey, you're gonna have to start updating, looking for the keywords what people are looking for, and
Hmm.
start updating if you want to be included in that algorithm. But let me read this comment by L. Anaram Azanabes. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably saying, what about commercial properties? It seems like nonprofits are hush hush about grants in the downtown violation flow. You want to go ahead on that first while I cue up the next clip?
What about? Oh, well, I really don't know how to. I would say Yeah, commercial properties aren't on Redfin. They're on a different, I guess, platform. And if it's a nonprofit, they have to, they have to be able to show enough documentation for their, ability to either lease or buy. What they do after they get the property is probably what I think that she's talking about. I don't know if they have a grant to buy or to lease commercial property, but I mean, you still have to be legitimate to get into a commercial space. What you do after you get in there is that's up to whoever is running the show there.
Right. As far as what I would say to this is that you always want to seek mentorship. You got to look at the source. Why would other nonprofits give you game about grants? You need to go to a person that specializes in getting grants to actually get you the grants and know all the ins and outs about grants. People, other nonprofits, they're going to be looking out for their organization. Their job is not to try to give you game on grants, So,
well I mean, I've dealt with commercial listings before. The landlord is not gonna, you got to have actual realized profit and loss and documentation. They're not gonna go off of a grant to actually get you in the space. I think the grants, if I'm not mistaken, maybe what she's talking about is after they get into the space, how they actually run in the space. But no landlord is gonna get you into their space without having some profit. The documentation needed for everybody else to get into, whether nonprofit or not.
Right. She follows up and said, 501 nonprofit formation is wired minorities, including myself, not taught this. I've noticed, and it's frustrating. I do have a woman that does this. I'm gonna have to put it in the chat after. I have to find her information, but I do have a woman that's what she specializes in. Her job is to form nonprofit organizations or charities that give you 501c3s. But it's mentorship. We're not taught this because just like we're not taught finance, it's for you to go ahead and seek out on your own, and for you to maximize on your own. So yeah, I have a woman that does this that actually helps you for a fee. Of course, it's not free. So for a fee, she helps you form your 501c3 and helps you get your charity or nonprofit organization going. And then, from there, you can learn about the grants and all that different things. That's not my area of expertise. However, if you're talking about commercial properties, Dunbar is right, like as far as landlords, but as far as revitalization, they're not gonna teach you about grants. It's up to you to seek that on a different level, than actually getting landlords in. So that's not my area of expertise as far as grants, but I do have a lady that does that.
Let's plug that in so we can hopefully help somebody out.
Right. Yeah, I would have to find that. So that's the thing about that. I have to find that actual business card. I wish Chris is actually Chris CJ's hookup. She came to one of our events a couple of years ago. I gotta find that. I gotta find her information. So what I'll do is on the replay. If you look at this on the replay, I'll plug this into the comments. So when you get on the replay, go ahead and check it out. I'll plug that in. So, but let's go to this next clip here. So hold on a second. Before we get to this clip, you have to understand I'm in a small town in Iowa. It's possible to have them mentor. It's impossible. Not really. So it's not in proximity. So don't forget with the Zoom and everything else, you could have a mentor anywhere in the world. So, and as far as specifically to your municipality, you probably have to, they'll give you the gist and then you just plug that formula into your local situation. So yeah, you got all type of mentors online digitally that could mentor you on grants. And then from there, you plug that into your local. But yeah, I went to college in Iowa. I went to college in Sioux City, so it's a different ball game out there.
I went to college in Oskaloosa.
Yeah, so we both with we both with the college in Iowa. So so, yeah, I forgot about that. Forgot about that. All right, so let's go and run this next one here. All right. Bam. Can you hear this?
Same suits.
Yep.
Why? Just because you're busy, it doesn't mean you're being productive. Your brain, your cognitive load is like a bathtub. If you have a bathtub, the bathtub can only hold so much water. If you keep putting water in, it's going to overflow. That's your cognitive load. It's the same thing when you put stuff in there. I'm going to add more stuff and more stuff and more stuff. Your cognitive load is overflowing. It's max. You're inefficient. You're sloppy. You're not getting things done right. If you are, you're just barely getting there. You're everywhere. You're stressed out. You're frazzled because you're maxed out. So everything I do, I learned this from watching presidents. I keep my load light. My bathtub only holds the water it needs to hold in. So it protects you from overextending yourself, stressing yourself. It also keeps you from making bad decisions. You make good decisions. There's something called decision fatigue. We think the more I add, the busier I am, the better I am. I'm moving, I'm hustling, I'm doing all this stuff. Look how maxed out I am. Just because you're busy, it doesn't mean you're being productive. Those two things are not synonymous. So often people think leaders keep adding. No, you know what good leaders do? They take out of that bathtub. What can I do less of so I can be exceptional at the other things I do? President Barack Obama, he had 30 of the same suits. Why?
So he didn't have to make so many decisions every day?
Yeah. He didn't want to sit and figure out what he's going to wear. It's a decision he didn't have to make. That keeps his bathtub light. Think about all the decisions he had to make every single day. Boop, take that thing out. You don't have infinite resources. You do not have an infinite cognitive load, and you do not have an infinite emotional load. Don't keep adding. Your job is to take out so that the things you do exceptionally well. And you're much more emotionally stable. Lighten your bathtub. President Barack Obama, he had 30 of the...
I know we're going to probably disagree on this one right here. But I'll go ahead and run it because I kind of got some pushback on what she's saying. Yet I agree with her to an extent, but I disagree with her for the most part. The part. Let's talk about the part that I agree with her about. I agree with her about making the smaller decisions ahead of time. Making those like not even existing. Like, say, for example, as you can see, I kind of wear the same thing. I get that off of not Barack Obama. I get that off of The Fly. There's a movie back in the 80s called The Fly. And he used to have the same suit. I think Albert Einstein the same way had the same black suit. As you notice, I wear kind of the same black on black every day. Because I don't want to care about what I wear. I really don't care. I learned a long time ago that drip stuff is for youngsters. I can have a pocket full of money and wear the same thing and have the same result. As you can with all this drip. So I kind of took that out. Now, not saying I don't like fashion. However, I think it's a lot of energy that's wasted on those type of decisions, right? So I think the man makes the actual clothes, not the clothes make the man. Now, I do believe in dressing appropriately, but I do believe in taking those decisions and making those kind of obsolete. I don't agree with that. One other thing I do agree with. Busy does not mean productive. Mentor always say that as well. Just don't misconstrue busyness with accomplishment, activity with accomplishment. Is usually what he say. Just because you have activity, that don't mean you're doing something with it. So I agree with it at that point, but I don't disagree on burnout. I don't disagree with that. You only have so much infinite. I think we need to push ourselves. It's just like a muscle, just like anything else. As you push yourself, as you push your quote unquote limits, the bigger it gets, the more it expands, the bigger the tub gets. So the bigger the well gets. I think that's the key. I think we put these constraints on ourselves that's not necessarily there. And it's just like we're working out. It's like when you think you're tired, your body actually has another 50% that you don't know about. So it's same thing with the mind. The mind is a muscle that you got to work out and expand and grow. So I disagree. Oh, there's a limit, and this is my infinite limit. BS. That's one of those feel good terms like depressed and burnout and all that. I think all that's BS. I think that's all coping stuff to get you to cope with being less than what you're supposed to be. So I disagree with her there. But I do agree on making less decisions or less important decisions. I don't think you can have decision fatigue. I think you're only as limited as your mind or the actual limitations you put on yourself. So I'll go yield the floor from there.
All right. Yeah. No. I definitely agree with the 30 suits. It's I think a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, I was leaving out the house, and I think I just had some shorts, some slippers, and like a tank top on. I was going to some showings, and my roommate, he was like, "You want to like that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't really matter what I wear, just as long as I know everything about the property when I get there. That's gonna really make me stand out more than me dressing up and putting on the show." So I mean, I definitely don't really care about, but of course, it's proximity. If I'm going to a dinner party, I'm not gonna wear that. But if I'm just going to meet people and generally talk about homes, it doesn't matter what I have on. So if I had a uniform, I probably would wear it, and it'd probably be what I just mentioned: some shorts and a tank top if it's not too cold. So I definitely, that's something that you don't have to worry about, and it's something that it's one of the things that is so minuscule that you shouldn't have to put a lot of time into it. I do think that, because this is just a real life experience, I think what I got from it, or how I interpreted what she was saying, is you have to pick and choose your battles, right? Like, so I remember when I first got into real estate, any client I had, whether they were qualified or not, I would go and run around and show them, and do all that. But now I don't do that. I pick and choose, not pick and choose, but I pick and choose who is ready and who's not ready, because I have the experience to do so. So I think that just comes with business experience and growth as a person, a businessman, or professional, or whatever the case may be. You pick and choose what is going to be beneficial, and what you should put your time into. I don't think it's a limit. I definitely don't think it's a limit. It's just some things are going to be on the forefront, and some things are going to be on the back burner. But you're not going to ever be able to. You're not going to get. I agree with you. You're not going to get overloaded, especially if you know how to delegate those situations.
Right. I mean, like I said, I think a lot of that is cope. We come up with these terms to help us feel good about not performing well. So I think, you're burnt out, you're stressed out, you're fatigued, what is it, decision fatigue and all that. Nah, just do better. Get find a way to get it done.
Well, yeah, and it comes from experience, though. I think it comes from experience, and you know what to spend a lot of mental time on, and you know what not to.
Right. So yeah, like I said, I agree with her to a point. I see where she's coming from as far as as far as making the important stuff, and then that's the thing, is refining what's important. Because 20 to 25 years ago, how I dressed was super important to me. It's important to me now, like to kind of tie into what you were saying. I still would dress, I still don't do tank tops and shorts unless I'm going to the gym. So I dress appropriately. I'm going to be in slacks. I'm going to be in, some kind of casual shoe or something to that effect. But I might wear that fishing shirt. I got like 10 of the same shirts, And I wear that over and over and over. As far as the statement, I don't care about, but as far as what's being appropriate, I do. So I'll have like a T-shirt that cost $1,000 20 years ago, just because it had a label on it or something to that effect. That's gone. However, I don't. I won't like go to a meeting with like a tank top on or a T-shirt on or something like that. I will probably have a shirt with a collar or something to that effect, just because of my age. So I will dress appropriately because of the age. I think it'll be inappropriate for me to be around clients in gym wear, me personally, but everybody's different.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. It is age. I mean,
Right.
I think so. It's I've never. Yeah, I always dress down when it comes down to. I mean, like I said, it's proximity. If I need to dress up, if I'm going to a dinner party, if I'm going to some networking, that's one thing. But if I'm just going to show houses, or or just go and do a listening agreement, they don't care how you dress. They care about the numbers. They care about you knowing what you. But that's it. Never failed me. I never had anybody, I don't think, turn me down. But like I said, it is. It is, what you want it to be. Like I never really cared about the clothes. Like you said, the man made the clothes. But yeah, so
Right.
but it is what it is.
I agree with you to a sense. Now I gotta say this, guy. I can't leave that out there. Sometimes it might not be said, but sometimes it is impressive to that person. So they might not tell you verbally, but it might be in the back of their mind. So my thing is, I always do my best. Now, some things you can't control. You only can worry about what's in your control. But the things I can control, I will have you saying if I had something to do with it that I was inappropriate, I'd rather be over than under. You see? So I won't let that happen. If I gotta question myself, I don't think it's appropriate. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I'd rather be over than under. Even if I'm going run somewhere, I'm gonna have a collar shirt on or something to that effect if it's business. And pretty much for damn near everything I do is business unless you meet me at the gym. If that's the case, even with that, I gotta preface that, hey, I'm at the gym, you gotta excuse my wear. I have gym clothes on. So I would point that out. That's just me. It may be a little old school.
No, sure, man. It is what it is. Like I said, I think that you can have a $10 million suit on. If you don't know what you're talking about,
right?
Then that's going to be less impressive than what you got on. But I'm not disagreeing. But it's just different strokes, different folks.
Right. Yeah. Let's go ahead and hit this next one. Oh, don't forget, guys. Hit the like button. I see, about 5 people like. Let's put us in the algorithm. So go ahead, hit the like button. Also, any questions, comments, please drop them in the comment box. We'll read them live. Also, if y'all want us to answer any questions about real estate or businesses or anything about ownership, let me know. And then, like I said, please share the video as well. Let's go ahead and hit this next one real quick. Bam.
Thank God this happened to me when I was young, right? I was in one of these cars, right? A normal car. Somebody passed me driving a Lamborghini Gallardo and a Ferrari 458 Italia. And at that moment, I realized I was an NPC, right? I'm the dude going to work back and forth, making sure I can call to work ahead of time so I can get my days off, clocking in, clocking out, worried about overtime. That was me. And then these people drive by and they don't care about a speed limit, right? If they get a ticket, what's $1,000? Here, pay it. They make $600,000 a month. I've met people like this. And you realize, like, I'm low-key a bot. Like what? In English, we have a phrase that if the only punishment for a crime is a fine, then it's only illegal to poor people. You have 2 lives. One when you're an NPC and you don't know it, and the other one is when you're an NPC and you do know it and you're working to get out of it. And that's when your real life begins.
Gotcha. All right, so let me go in on this first. This actually is a good one. It's philosophical. For those who don't know what NPC is, that's non-player character. And where that generates from is from people saying that people are so obsolete. A lot of the masses are so obsolete that they're backdrops in other people's lives, and they actually don't really exist. They're non-player characters, meaning that they don't actually have somebody controlling them. It's somebody. They're just backdrops. They're back noise, almost like the Sims video game. For people that subscribe to that type of philosophy, where you're the main character in your life, and the rest of the people are just backdrops. So the Sims video game is something to that effect. You have the characters that you can control, and then there's characters that's just in the game as part of the game to fill in space. So what the video is talking about is that he realized that in traffic somebody blew past him with a Lamborghini, and he's in a regular car, and like, damn, am I a bot? Am I an NPC in that person's life? Because he's doing what he want to do, and I'm still confined to these rules. I'm still on the come up. So that's, in my opinion, super motivational. Are you main character, or are you still backdrop? Are you dominating your field? Are you dominating where you're undoubtedly beyond the controls of the game, and where you're setting your own rules? Or are you still confined? So are you a main character, or are you NPC? I'll let you go ahead and run on that, and then I'll piggyback on that.
All right. Well, yeah, I did not know what an NPC was.
You know what an NPC was?
I did not know what I did not. I was talking to a couple of my business partners and our friends a couple of weeks ago. I think, first off, that's giving me comparative vibes, which I do not subscribe to. But it comes down to who you are is who you become, and who you are, you born with it. Like, either you have the hustle not to be a NPC, or you don't. Seeing somebody driving a Gallardo is not going to make you a main character. Now, is it going to give you it could give you motivation, but if you wasn't motivated before then you kind of already you kind of already lost. I think what you're going to become and who you are is something that's ingrained in you. If the work ethic, the upbringing, just the circumstances that you were subjected to in your adolescence, and before then. I think that's what makes you a main character, and not an NPC, and not just seeing somebody and comparing yourself to somebody who you know nothing about. They could have had they parents could have died, and then they used the money for it. Like, that's what I'm saying. That doesn't, it's motivation, but if you're gonna be successful, it's gonna be already ingrained in you from kind of from your upbringing, and so on and so forth. That's how I feel about it.
Well, I think what he was saying is not comparison. What he was saying is that he had an epiphany, and while he was driving through traffic, and most of us think that we're main characters, and by somebody blowing past him in a Gallardo, and not giving a care like how fast he was going, that dawned on him like, hey, this person is really living his best life. Am I? So am I the main? Am I the backdrop and he's the main character, or am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing, where I can live how I want to live on my terms?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If it takes somebody blowing past you in a fancy car to realize that you're not doing what you're supposed to do to be successful, then you already lost. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Right, but don't forget, you get caught up in I guess what right resonated with me is that because you get caught up in the daily grind, and you lose sight of the goals. And the goal is to have freedom, right? Financial freedom to do what you want to do. So you look at it, and you got to look at it on on a worldwide spectrum. You know, are you in the position where you want to be? Are you in a position like where you on top of the world yet? Where you free yet? You know, so that's what he's saying as far as that. He kind of realized, damn. And he's not saying who's who. He's like, damn, I start questioning myself. Am I NPC? You know, so am I content with where I'm at? Am I content with the grind? Am I content with the mediocrity? Am I and did I get comfortable with where I am? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But I mean, what I'm saying is, well, I guess what I'm saying is, if you people that are successful would is never going to be okay with where they at. So, so it's. I mean, I get it, but I just I would have framed it. I mean, I would have framed it another way, or probably not framed it in that nature. But I mean, no, I totally get it. But like I said, if it takes somebody else, if you need an external force to jog your enthusiasm and your willingness to sacrifice and be successful, then like I say, you kind of already. I think you're already pretty much doing.
Well, I got to push back on that as well. That's why there are competitions, and you know, even bodybuilding, even football, even like that. You're comparing where you're at to somebody else, just to test to see if you're the best in the world. Are you at the top of your game? You see what I'm saying? Like even bodybuilding, when it's you versus you, you're stacking off against somebody else, and to see who's the best in the world, who has the best physique. You see what I'm saying? So I would say like, and sometimes you need that smelling salt to actually wake you up, to remotivate you to actually to get back on the top of your game. Because sometimes if just like with anything, you know, let's say if you smoke cigarettes or whatever, you became nose blind to the cigarette smoke. You don't know, but somebody coming like, goddamn, coming in, you know, your car, your house, damn, it smell like cigarettes in there. You don't know until somebody wakes you up out of it, like, damn, yeah, it does smell like cigarettes. I didn't even notice because I'm so used to it. So you can get used to your daily routine and used to where you are and used to I'm making money. However, somebody will blow past you and like, damn, I forgot the pace that I'm supposed to be going.
Right. And if you if you do get complacent, I guess what I'm saying, if you do get complacent, then you already lost. Like, you know, whether somebody tell you smell like cigarettes or not, if you don't know that if you don't know that if you smoke a cigarette you're gonna smell like one, then you are, you know what I mean. Then you pretty much, you know, that's, you know, you already not you're not thinking at a higher level. Like I said, but like I said, there is motivation. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, another external source can't motivate you, but you got to already be trying, and you already got to be pushing your limits for you to even think that you can get there.
Right. I mean, that's human nature. We have in the dog industry as well, we have a thing called kennel blind. It's similar to nose blind. Like when your productions that you have as far as dogs, you put so much into it, you don't see the flaws anymore. You know, if you were looking objectively, because you produce it, this is your production. The same thing with creating music or creating something. Like, damn, you think it's jamming because you wrote it, you made the beat, you know, but somebody come like, man, this shit whack. You know, but it takes that outside objectiveness in order to like, damn, I hear it now. All right, cool. Let me go ahead and drop back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
Right. So let's go to the next one. I don't want to beat the dead horse, but sometimes it takes somebody, you know, I'll put that in because sometimes it takes somebody blowing past you to wake you up.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
You know, so that's why I put that in there. Let's go ahead and rock this next one. Don't forget, guys, like the video, subscribe. Also, please drop us a comment. We'll read it live here on the air. Bam. Can you see the screen?
billionaires live in hotels instead of houses. Like, you're rich enough to buy mansions. Why are you paying hotel rent?
Because hotels are actually cheaper than owning when you understand the tax game.
Wait, what?
Yeah, living in a hotel is one of the smartest financial moves if you structure it right.
How is paying $10,000 a month for a hotel room cheaper than owning?
Simple. When I own a house, I pay property taxes, maintenance, insurance, utilities, all with after-tax dollars. But when I live in a hotel, my company pays for it as a business expense.
Your company pays? How is that legal?
Because I structure it as temporary corporate housing. My business is based in multiple cities, so I need accommodation for business travel. The IRS allows companies to deduct travel and lodging expenses.
But you're not really traveling, you're just living there.
That's the trick. As long as I maintain that I'm temporarily there for business purposes and keep my official residence somewhere else, it qualifies. So I live at the Four Seasons 300 days a year, and my company writes off $300,000 in hotel costs.
That's insane.
It gets better. When I own a house, I pay property tax, sometimes $100,000 a year, or more in expensive cities. Hotel living, zero property tax. The hotel pays it, not me.
So you're avoiding property tax completely?
Yep. Plus, I avoid maintenance costs. No broken AC, no roof repairs, no lawn service. The hotel handles everything. And if I don't like the location, I just move to a different hotel. Try doing that with a mansion.
But don't you need somewhere to store your stuff?
That's why I keep a small official residence in a low-tax state like Florida or Wyoming, for tax purposes. But I'm never actually there. I just need an address on paper.
So you have a house you don't live in and a hotel you actually live in?
Exactly. My official residence is a modest condo in Miami that costs me $5,000 a year in property tax. Meanwhile, I'm living in luxury hotels worldwide, and my business writes off the entire cost.
What if the IRS audits you?
That's why I keep documentation. Flight records showing I travel for business, meeting schedules, client visits. As long as it's substantiated as business travel, it's completely legal.
So hotels are basically your tax-free mansion?
Exactly. To regular people, hotels are vacation expenses. To billionaires, they're tax-deductible permanent residences with room service. Welcome to hotel living, where your bedroom is a business expense.
Well, this makes a lot of sense, man. In fact, that's what I did was set myself up right now, like downsizing. I take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward. When I do it, the reason why I moved to where I'm at out here in the country because it's low taxes. You know, when I set up the kennel, it's hardly no property tax out here. And all of the land is going to do is appreciate. Boom, 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 boom. It's going to get more expensive and more valuable as it goes on. Right. If I do decide to get floss out, well, I got too big and the business is going great, then I'm not going to get another house. This is my residence for tax purposes. I'm going to get a penthouse. And I'm going to write it off. I'm going to live there 300 days out of the year, you know, and then write the whole thing off. Instead of paying taxes on the money, that's my living expenses. That's my, like I said, corporate lodging, so to speak, So now I got the flyest penthouse that I don't have to pay property taxes on. It's the tax. It's instead of me, I'm just making up numbers here. IRS, I'm making up numbers here. Let's say I grossed, $500,000 that year. And I took 100 of that to pay for my living expenses. Now only my taxable income is 400, because that's part of that tax write-off, so instead of paying the IRS, that money is tax deductible. So that's how that works, so it's money that you're going to spend anyway. Rather, why not spend it on your business instead of giving it to Uncle Sam? And again, I'm not a fiduciary. I'm just giving an example. These are opinions. These are not advice for, tax strategies because I'm not a fiduciary. So, but it makes a lot of sense that's what Grant Cardone is talking about, is renting is sometimes cheaper in a corporate sense if you're to that level. But if you're a first-time home buyer, you don't have a business, then renting doesn't make any sense. But in this particular instance, yes, if you have a corporation or a business that's making a lot of money, to me, $1 million house doesn't make sense, especially where I'm at in Texas, where we have some of the highest property taxes. Because what's going to happen is on that $1 million house, I'm going to be paying about $15,000 to $20,000 a year just in taxes, and they can take it at any time. So if I'm in that Four Seasons hotel, as long as I'm up, I can live there. If I decide to go ahead, all right, I'm tired of living in the penthouse, I go back to where I'm at right here in the country and live on my acre land, and I'm cool. So, but it's for the flaws temporarily, quote unquote, and it's a business write-off. I'll do my social media stuff, and I have a little penthouse or whatever. That's kind of living I want. I don't necessarily want a big house, but that's kind of, for me, I like I don't know if you ever been in like the penthouse in the W, or Four Seasons penthouse, or Waldorf. It's on another level, so you get everything done, all the amenities and everything, have to, so this depends, but you got to be having that type of money coming in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely me. But it's one of those things where that advice that he's giving is to somebody that's already well off. Like that's not for everybody. That's not gonna work for everybody. Like you said, first time homeowners, they don't need to be trying to rent. They need to be trying to build equity. So it makes sense, but like I said, it's not for everybody. Can achieve that and make it make it work for them, because it's just that strategy is not for everybody. But yeah, I mean, in that case, in that scenario, he's totally right off on your taxes.
Right. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, man. Like I said, to do it that way. However, I think in my personal opinion, if you're on the other side, if you've been renting since you're 18 years old, 21 years old, fresh out of college, I think that's the easier route. I think ownership is hard. That's achieved. Renting is easy. That's, and then it's really not that easy. It's damn near the same endurance wise, as it would be to actually own something, but people perceive it as easy because there's no commitment. But you don't have a tax advantage because that is your primary residence at that point. So you can't use that as corporate lodging, so it doesn't fit. So if you have, it's for those well-off and those business owners, that's a lot of my crowd. Yeah, that makes sense to maybe have something modest. And then if you want a flaws, you want to have, maybe having something that you could, a mansion that you rent. Why pay? Think about it. If you paying property taxes, that's going to be $1,000 to $1,500 a month on $1 million house, not including the maintenance and everything like that. So you add all that up. Plus for me, it doesn't make sense. Why would I have an 8-bedroom mansion? For me. Now, I guess some people, the family, was always your dream, and I couldn't do the Rick Ross thing. Like, I get it. He rents it out occasionally for different things, but it just, I don't have that much company over there like that. It just doesn't make sense. It's not for everybody. So a mansion never was my dream, Right. So, yeah. Anything else before we go to the next one on that?
I don't think so.
Gotcha. But don't forget, y'all, like the video. Go ahead, leave us a comment. The only stupid question is the unasked question. So if you got any questions about real estate, please let us know. All right, let's run it.
80% of businesses fail in the first 36 months. It's called CAC, customer acquisition costs. These companies are never able to get their customer acquisition costs below the lifetime value of the customer. A fancy way of saying they go bankrupt advertising. Until you figure out your CAC, the cost of acquiring a customer, you can't be profitable. Think about it. The minute you do figure it out and it's sustainable, Investors like me come in pouring gasoline on the fire because you figured out how to grow the business. You just need cash. Once you figure out CAC, you go to the moon. What's the number one reason 80%?
That was a quick one. This is all David Young. Shout out to David Young. He had an event this week, so shout out to David. This is one of the ones that David left for us. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand CAC, customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost you to get a customer through that door, or get a customer to hit that submit button on that order, or to whatever you're doing, or to sign that at the table for a closing? How much does that cost you per customer? A lot of people don't figure that out. A lot of people winging it, and then kind of look at, all right, this is how much I'm spending, this is how much. But how much if you could break it down to how much it costs per customer, then you got most of the business figured out. Then most likely you're going to be profitable and succeed. Most, like you said, 80%, 8 out of 10 fail because they can't figure this out. They don't know. They either don't know about it or don't know how to calculate it. They can't figure it out. If you look at Shark Tank, that's Kevin O'Leary right there. He's Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. Most of the deals that people get is the people that understand their CAC. Most people that don't understand, they have a business model that they trying to figure it out. And investors don't like to figure it out with you. They want to invest in stuff that's already figured out, like you said, to pour gasoline on it so they can increase the cash flow and then get their investment back as quick as possible. So if you got a business, you don't figure out that the CAC, how much it costs you to get a customer, that's half the battle. Dunbar, you want to go in on that, or you want to go to the next one?
No. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like like I said, when I first started out business, I would take on anybody, whether they qualified or not really, realizing that, it's levels to it, and if somebody not ready, we can definitely get them there, but it doesn't mean that it should be on the forefront and you should be spending a lot of time, because there's nothing that you can do to really get them ready, but tell them they have to get themselves ready. And so from a real estate standpoint, right? I'm not going to go take anybody. I'm not going to go take anybody out that doesn't have a pre-approval if they're trying to buy a house, right? And because that's gonna, first off, that could be a loss, because I'm spending time, I'm spending my resources, my gas, I'm spending effort in something that's not going to be beneficial. But yeah, I mean, I definitely understand that, especially with the but my other ventures I have going on. Customer acquisition costs and is crucial. I mean, it does make or break your business. It definitely does.
Gotcha. I'm looking for this next one here, and I'm about to go to this one. For some reason, the Kobe one's not coming up. Let me get to the next one here. This is crazy. The Kobe one's not coming up. I know they ain't deleted. All right, so boom, let's go to this next one. I want these are similar. I want to go back to back with them. I want to give a little space, but let's go ahead, rock this one.
Billionaires buy $100 million life insurance policies on themselves. Bro, you're already rich. Why do you need life insurance?
It's not insurance. It's a private bank.
Wait, what?
Yeah, wealthy people use life insurance completely different than normal people. We're not protecting our families. We're creating a tax-free money machine.
How does insurance become a bank?
Simple. I buy what's called a whole life insurance policy for $100 million. Every year, I dump millions into it. Let's say $5 million annually. That money grows inside the policy, tax-free.
But isn't that just saving money?
Not quite. The cash value inside my policy grows at 4 to 6% per year, completely tax-free. No capital gains, no income tax. The IRS can't touch it.
Okay, but you still can't spend it, right?
That's where the magic happens. I borrow against the policy. The insurance company gives me a loan using my cash value as collateral.
Wait, you're borrowing your own money?
Exactly. But here's the trick. Loans aren't taxable income. So I can take out $10 million from my policy, pay 0 taxes, and the cash value keeps growing inside like nothing happened.
That's insane.
It gets better. I don't even have to pay the loan back during my lifetime. The interest just adds to the loan balance, and when I die, it gets deducted from the death benefit.
So you're using the money tax-free and never paying it back?
Yep, and my family still gets millions tax-free when I die, because life insurance death benefits aren't taxed either.
But what if you take out too much and the policy collapses?
That's why you have advisors. You keep the policy funded, borrow strategically, and the math works forever. Plus, I can always add more money if needed.
So why doesn't everyone do this?
Because you need serious money to make it work. These policies require millions in premiums. Normal people can't afford the entry ticket.
So it's literally a rich-only loophole?
Exactly. To regular people, life insurance protects your family. To billionaires, it's a tax-free infinite banking system. Welcome to infinite banking, where your insurance policy is your personal ATM.
I disagree with him about the wealthy. It's only for the wealthy.
Yeah, well, it's not for the wealthy, but it's definitely for the folks that have extra money to put in to the policy. I've been approached with this a couple times. It's definitely great, but you have to have extra money to put in. You can't be living paycheck to paycheck and dumping money into this policy. But if you have that extra money, it's definitely worth looking into. I have a guy that does it who I have my account with. It's a couple of folks that I know who do it, but it's not bad. It's actually pretty cool once they explain it to you. But you got to have the money to put in, and you can't live paycheck to paycheck and kind of have this type of system going on.
Right. I'm looking for this Kobe one, but anyway, like I was saying, yeah, you don't necessarily have to be rich. You just have to be disciplined in order to have the private equity banking. What you need to do is have an advisor. Again, I'm not a fiduciary, so I would advise, this is not advice. This is general talking. But if you have money, instead of sitting it in a regular bank, which doesn't make sense, where it's only collecting less than 1%, interest, that makes 0 sense. Why have it in the bank? My strategy is have a 6-month, cushion, emergency fund that you have in the bank, or have where you could get it, in a Apple account where it's collecting 4%. I would say, one of those Discover funds with high interest savings account where you can have access to it. Then the rest, I would invest in these policies and be funding these policies. So whether you could commit to $500 a month, $1,000 a month, or whatever, dump that into these policies instead of just having it sit in the bank. Because what happens is when it's sitting in the bank, you have a tendency or urge to want to spend it. So discipline yourself to dump into these policies and then act like you broke for the rest of it. But what happens is when this money was doing what's called triage. If you borrow against it, like he said, it's still compounding on that end. And then there's still a debt benefit. So if you kick the bucket, it's going to pay off the differences. Your family still get the rest. I'm going to say this because this was actually the first episode of the Power of Ownership podcast. We talked about this 9 years ago. We talked about this 9 years ago on the very first episode of Power of Ownership podcast, back in like 2017. We talked about how other communities got rich. They got rich by insurance policies. Because one thing for sure, two things for certain, you're going to kick off. You will kick the bucket. Other groups got policies, because don't forget, I could get a policy on Dunbar. As long as he signs off on it, I don't have to be related to Dunbar in order to take out life insurance. Most high-end 6-figure jobs, they have a life insurance policy on you. So and it's for the amount that they think they're going to pay you. So for the next 20 years, I'm going to pay you $100,000. So I'm going to take out you know, a $2 million, $3 million policy on you. So when you do kick the bucket, I get my money back.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So most jobs even have an insurance policy on you. So why
Yeah.
not grandma, auntie, cousin? Why not have a policy on all of them? So think about it. I got 5 relatives that we all close knit. We all in the same boat. We're trying to on the come up. Whoever kicked the bucket, I got $1 million. We all split that $1 million. You know, that's 200,000 each, and that's tax free. You see what I'm saying? All of us gonna kick the bucket eventually, but it's about collaborating. You know, it's most people, especially in our community, are all about competition. They don't want everybody in their business. They don't want to share the wealth with anybody. They try to come up on each other. That's why we falter. You know, other communities, that's how they got rich over life insurance policy. You know, that's one of the safest investments you can make. It's like you guaranteed to get a return. Not a matter if, it's a matter of when. It's gonna pay off as soon as somebody kick off. You know, so it's not a matter of if either. You know, so that's the thing. Is like, but the thing is, a lot of people in our community, they want instant gratification. Life insurance is not sexy because it's after you die. It's for the next generation. Sometimes, for the most part, and use it with the triage, with the born against, and having your money compound. But it's not a sexy thing. It's not instant flip, instant. You know, it's something that's smart. Instead of just taking money and spending it, I can take that money out, have my money still making money, and having it pay out by the difference, having it pay off the debt that I took out, and the debt that I took out is tax free because it's a loan. You know, so it's about playing it smart instead of spending my money. Because don't forget, money is a depreciating asset because of inflation. How do you beat that inflation? By putting it in things that compound. That way it neutralizes at least that inflation part. You know, so I know I'm talking Greek to a lot of people, but you got to get smart and dumping money into different avenues in order to make your money stretch, in order to make it count. You know, if you get it and spend it,
Yeah, I mean, high yield savings accounts that's a good idea too, but it's not better than the insurance policies, because one, you only what they do with the high yield savings account is they pretty much just play the stock market with it, and that can go up or down. With the private equity, it's no going down. It's gonna always compound itself. So it's definitely other ways than that, but that's the safest way. But you gotta, like I said, you gotta have excess of funds throughout the month to make it actually worthwhile.
And believe it or not, that's not a rare thing. We do have access funds, but we at the Louis store, we at buying a section where buying exotic, buying, we're doing other stuff with the money. Again, it got to be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
If you disciplining, all right, the no life, I think Gary Vee said, eat crap for 2 to 5 years, eat caviar the rest of your life, right? So if you have a 2-year plan, no life for 2 years, especially if you're in your 20s, you got time. A lot of people think we're gonna die tomorrow. If you want to die tomorrow, then you possibly will. But if don't forget, this is a long term, and it's crazy. We use that I could die tomorrow as an excuse not to strategize. It's crazy to me, So have no life for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it takes, and stack that money to the side and put it in these entities, right? Let it compound, then borrow against it instead of spending it. And it's tax free. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's a great idea.
We do have the money, but we spend it frivolously on BS.
Stuff not everybody have excess money though. That's not. I mean, it's not everybody has excess money for sure. But if you do, and if you are being frivolous with it, you definitely pivot into something that's definitely more long-term and beneficial. But not everybody has excess money at the end.
I wouldn't say that. That's kind of. I wouldn't say everybody. You know, you can't say everybody. You don't know everybody.
Right.
But I would argue that Americans, a large part of Americans, have excess money. You know, because of, and the reason why I say that, because there's so many different side hustles. There's Uber, there's social media. You could be an influencer. You could have 3-4 different side businesses. You can have online business. So most people with some snap. Now we're not talking about the stoners that's couch surfing. We're talking about my audience, this audience that we derive from that want to do better, that want to maximize their potential, right? So my audience, most of them have excess cash. That's who I'm speaking to. So you can't reach the stoner that doesn't want to do anything as a couch surfer, you know. So they won't even be looking at something like this. So I'm excluding them people. You know,
I'm not even saying. I mean, yeah, couch. Of course, they can, but people that work regular, not everybody has. And it goes down to like what I said earlier. If you don't have the like the inner gumption to do more, you're not gonna have excess money. And I'm talking about the people who just work in a W-2 job, and that's it, which is a lot of the population, and not like, of course, not your circle. You know, as you know, of course, you know, that's big money over there. But I'm saying most Americans are okay with just having one source of income. And I would say most. But
yeah. Hold on a second. This Instagram is crazy right now. It's not giving me. Hold on a second. Give me
you looking for the Kobe?
Yeah, the Kobe.
This better be a hell of a clip.
Now I'm looking for the Kobe and the Jimmy Johnson one. For some reason, what's happening is that it's when you open it up, it's playing something different. You ever had that happen before?
Yeah.
What is that? Is that a setting?
I think it's just because it's not there no more. I think usually that's what it is, because if it was there, it'll play that. But if it doesn't, it's gonna skip to the one that is on there, whether it's related or not.
But that's crazy. I checked these out right before I got on the air, and it was still there.
Could you find it on YouTube, you think?
Hold on. Let me see if I could. I'm gonna try to find it on the gram. Hold on a second. Let me try.
You gonna give me some? I'll be back getting some water.
Yeah, my last 2 clips is for some reason disappeared all of a sudden. Hold on a second. Let me try see if I can find it. All right, so I think I found the Jimmy Johnson one. Well, let's go ahead and run that. The Kobe, like I said, I don't know, the Kobe, that Kobe just disappeared, but it was cool. You know, but this one is the really one I want to end on. So as soon as Dunbar come back, we're gonna run this last one. Don't forget, guys, like, subscribe, please comment. Y'all want to chime in on the conversation? Y'all want to ask us something about real estate? Please chime in. I found the Jimmy Johnson one, so we're gonna end on this one.
Okay.
Right. Wow, you know, down in perfect time in 15 more minutes. So let's go ahead and run this one. You'll like this one. This is a football analogy. You know what I mean? So
all right, we'll see.
Run this one. Wow. It's a good one to end on.
There's a misconception about football. People think that football is for tough guys. You know, tough guys. Bull. Football rewards the guys that are in great condition. That's when you have fun. When you're kicking somebody's ass and they're sucking for wind. There was a great coach one time says, fatigue makes cowards of us all. What if I walked up to you and said, you're a coward? You're a coward. You wouldn't like it, would you? But that's the reality of it. When you're tired, you make mistakes, you don't do what's right, and your will to win all of a sudden starts to waver just a little bit. You get tired, and all of a sudden you don't have that same fight. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. If you're in great shape, if you can run like a deer, at the end of the ball game, you're going to be smiling and having fun. And let me tell you something, guys. This is going to be the greatest time of your life. I used to sit in this same ass room. I'd look at the schedule and I'd say, God, oh, I can't wait till Oklahoma comes in here. I can't wait till Florida comes in here. I want to kick their ass. And that's what you should feel. This is why you came to Miami. That's why you wanted to be a Hurricane. But you can only do it if you're in great shape and if you're not sucking for win at the end of the game. And when you look across the way and that guy is hanging down, he is a coward. He's a coward because he's tired. Don't be tired.
Well, I need a pregame speech like that. Make you want to run somebody over. Right. You know, that's why Jimmy Johnson, a Super Bowl winning coach, man. You make those type of speeches that hit like that, man. That's powerful. Right. I mean, obviously, I'm using this as an analogy for business.
Right.
You know, and I wholeheartedly agree. That's why I'm 24/7. You know, I try to stretch myself out. I mean, Dunbar, even the other night, like, man, I'm just wrapping up business. Like, yeah, man, it's raining. Like, nah, I'll come get you. Right. Drove an hour back. Boom. Got to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you're tired, you start to, like you said, you start to waver a little bit. You start to, do I really want it? You know, it could wait till tomorrow. Right. And that becomes habitual.
Right.
You know, and all of a sudden you're not in the position that you want to be. One thing for me, and this is how I approach football, and this is how I approach life. I don't want to be in my own way. Right. If I don't reach my goals, it's not going to be there's something that was in my control, because I'm gonna kick my own self in the ass. You know, I only can control the controllables. So the controllables is I got to be at the top of my game at all times. I got to be the best that I could be. Now, certain things I can't control, but I'm not gonna let myself beat myself.
Right.
Stuff I could have done better. So I take that, not just being in shape, I take it as being on the top of your game at all times and not being too tired to do the best that you can, to take that phone call, to type that one last email, to do that one last deal. I'm not too tired to do that. If the money call, I'm answering the phone.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because I don't know how many opportunities I'm going to get, and I'm not entitled to the next opportunity. So why not take advantage of the opportunity right now?
Right.
Why kick it to the one opportunity leads to two missed opportunity, two leads to three. But before you know it, I done made 20, 30, 40, 50% less than I was supposed to make.
Right.
Because something I did.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly, for sure. You get in what you, especially with it in life, I think you get in what you put out, right? So if you're not being wholehearted with your input, then your output is not going to be substantial enough to make you want to keep going, right? It's one of those things to where if you don't, and it all comes from, like I said, the person, the inner person. If you don't have the will to succeed by putting in the time that it takes to succeed, then you're gonna fall by the wayside. And it doesn't matter who motivates you or doesn't motivate you. If you don't have that inner fire, then it's not going to happen. But I mean, I totally agree with you. And what I would say is you get in what you put out, and that's with business, that's with life, football, basketball, whatever, swimming. You get in what you put out.
Gotcha. With that being said, man, we're gonna wrap it up. I know we 10 minutes early. We might go live on TikTok if Dunbar up for it. You know what I'm saying? For 15 minutes, kind of see, you know. But
that's, I mean, is it? Yeah, I mean, let's do it. Why not?
yeah, now TikTok a different dynamic, man. So let's do about 15 minutes on TikTok just to see what it is, and then we'll go from there. But y'all join us on TikTok. We about to go live on TikTok here. I'm at Billionaire LO on TikTok, so we about to do the TikTok live here in a second. So boom, join us on there. We're gonna see y'all next week on the Power of Ownership podcast, man. Peace.
Peace.